it's our town, and we kind of want to hand our town over to the next generation in good hands as well. And so we love seeing people do this stuff and grow. I know.
I'm like,
so
I'm
you can give it over here. I can take care of it, mate. Yeah, what's going on, people? This is I think this is the New Year special. It'll probably be by the time this one comes out. So Happy New Year, everyone. I'm here with the Guildford superheroes, the people making a difference in our community. Jo Tester.
Hi.
Welcome to the podcast, Jo. And I'm here with Stuart. Tell us about what you guys are doing. Guildford Action heroes, Guildford heroes. Tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Yeah. So do you want? Shall I go first?
You can go first.
Okay. So yeah, Guildford Action. We're one of those charities that people either know us really well or don't know anything about us. So we've been in Guildford 40 years next year, and started as an unemployed men's club initially, and it's just grown and evolved over the years. And we've probably been one of Guildford's fastest moving charities in some ways, because we literally every year it looks a little bit different. So I've been here 23 years in February.
Wow! So you've been here over half
my life.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
So it's important to me, Guildford Action. It's my town, and it's where I grew up. So
where did you grow up in Guildford, Jo?
I was Bushy Hill.
Bushy Hill.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I was Bushy Hill. So you said,
Postcode wars.
It was Bridge Wars in them days.
It was actually.
It was Bridge Wars and Subways. It was.
It really was. Yeah. So and I was thinking about it this morning, actually coming in, thinking how the estates in those days mixed, because we had a really big youth club in Guildford then, where Waitrose is now. Yeah. And so all of the estates, we all grew up together, and it's really different now. Yeah. And then we could go to each other's youth clubs in the schools, couldn't we? I used to go to Park Barn Youth Club on a Friday.
Ups and downs.
Yeah.
I remember the ups and downs. So did you grow up with Guildford Action in your did you know about Guildford Action? Like when you
I knew a little bit about Guildford Action, and that's because my mum was a social worker in Guildford.
Oh wow! So
and
this has been part of your whole life, basically.
That's right. And my dad was also a cab driver in Guildford, so he knew lots of people. He literally sort of knew everybody, and and I just stumbled across the job. Really, my mum said that they were looking for somebody. I phoned up, and they said, come in on the Saturday morning for an interview.
Oh,
it was like an interview I've never had before. We just had a little chat, and they said, you can start Monday. And
the rest is history.
And the rest is history. I do remember my first week thinking, I'm not going to be able to do this for too long. And then, now I couldn't imagine not being here.
Oh, that's so nice. It's so nice to hear that people like you make such a big difference in our community. It means so much to you as an individual, not just. It's not just a job. It doesn't sound like just a job to you. This is a lifestyle, which is important. And Stuart, obviously, another big mouth Guildford. We've got big mouth Guildford, another superhero.
Yeah, I am their community fundraiser, and
big role.
Yeah, been here for about a year and a half, but known half the team here most of my life. Like I say, we've all grown up together. I'm very proud and honoured to be a part of this. Life-changing for me, really, probably. I got involved with Jo just sort of trying to help to get the message out about who they were. And that's what I've been doing for the last year and a half, really. It's really shouting about Guildford Action and letting people of Guildford know about what we do. And, I love it. Like Jo said, doesn't really feel like a job. And we all come with the capital P, which is passion, which is what it's all about, really. And you can walk downstairs and probably meet someone that you know, or a family friend, and all walks of life come through the door. So it's just a great place, just great, rewarding, working with people, seeing people move forward, and just enhancing their lives, really. It's just a very, very special place. And, I talk about these guys all the time. Most of these people have been here a long time, and there's a reason for that.
The people work.
Here,
I think what I love most about, obviously we've introduced you guys very recently, is just, you said it earlier, like the passion that I can feel from both of you, and it's your own community. But I think it means something, doesn't it? It is, and I always say, the people that you're helping, we all of us are so vulnerable to that. It can be any one of us, and I think it's a rewarding, humbling job. And you're making a huge difference to the community, but I'm sure it didn't always start there for you both. So I'd love to know a little bit more about how you
Wow.
Let's say about the antics of the stout and
big. For me, my childhood was. I was always known as Big Stu, not Big Mouth, and I was always the fat kid that never got chose to play football. I was always the goalkeeper, and grew up on the estate as difficult really as a kid. Being I was always that chubby kid, and as we all know, there's disadvantages, but I had a great time growing up. Things were different in them days. There was, and to be honest, that's how it feels a little bit now at this present time, how we felt when we were kids, the way the community's come together over the last year, and businesses and individuals and charities. That's what I remember as a kid.
Really?
Being part of,
so do you think there's a point in recent years that dipped? Do you think they're coming back?
100%. Do
you think COVID's brought that?
No, for me, I can tell you, I just done probably about 6 months ago. I done a desert island disc at Coldingley Prison. Probably one of the best Friday nights I've had in a long time. But one of my first songs was Madness, Our House, and that year was the year that we all got BMXs. So Clover Road, Park Barn, everyone got the BMXs, including Joe. What did you get, Joe?
I had a rally burner.
Rally burner.
I had a rally.
But that was it. But that was the year when, by the time we got to the ups and downs, like Quady had smashed his teeth, was in hospital. Like
I think I know Quady's son.
Yeah, everyone knows Quady.
Yeah,
but that was for me was the end of it, because the next couple of Christmases was you boys down like the ZX Spectrum and the Commodore 64,
What's
which
the
is
ZX,
when
what's the ZX Spectrum?
See, that's
I'm interested.
Right. Well, I didn't get a ZX Spectrum. People who watch this of our generation, my dad thought it was great to get a BBC Acorn. Now, the BBC Acorn was the home version of your school computer. But if you had a Commodore 64 or a ZX Spectrum,
I feel like you're speaking different language to
you
me.
could have
But
you could go to
the computer.
Yeah, so that's when the computer games come in. So that's when I feel that it started going
people staying in the houses.
Staying in and that. But this COVID, it's brought kids out, and they've wanted to be out, and they've wanted to be active, and it's something I talk a lot about. And I went around quite a lot during lockdown. I brought BMX. In fact, I brought a BMX. I'm nearly 50. I brought a BMX. And I was taking photos of like the subways at Tesco's where we used to have breakdancing competitions, where we'd be burning with this lot from Bush Hill, and ups and downs, and the amount of families that congratulated me on finding the ups and downs, because that's been there for generations, and it is free. It's kids can go and ride their bikes, and it's. So for me,
what do you mean you found? What do you mean you found it? Like,
well, not found it, but I went down and found it for a new community of people who just didn't know it was there, and they were like, "Oh, we went down there with our kids,"
I've been. I was there.
So
that's cool.
The Lido for us lot was like massive when we were kids. You know what I mean? We'd all be down the Lido, we'd all jumping over the fences, and the roller disco, like things that just don't really happen. I suppose the ice rink, but we had these things around us when we were kids, all of us, that sort of brought us together with groups of people.
That was our skating. I remember skating.
So you were skating,
but then most of the time, there was a point. I remember a lot of Call of Duty nights, because obviously that was our sort of thing. And definitely there was a difference between the earlier stages and the later stages. But then, as I said to you guys before, I enjoyed being out. That was I think a lot of kids they struggle with that now, because they're everything they want they can they have on their phone. And what about you, Jo? What was
so I grew up Bushy Hill, and my mum and dad. My dad had grown up on Bushy Hill himself. My nan came over from India, so was probably one of the first Indian people in Guildford. She met my granddad, who grew up in Guildford. So grew up there. My mum was a social worker. My dad was a cab driver, and was very well known.
Very well known.
Cab drivers live interesting life. My dad's just recently become an Uber driver, and he tells me the craziest
stories. If you want to know something, a cab driver will be able to tell you.
Everything. He would know everything. So So we knew a lot of people. My mum and dad also ran the youth club on Bushy Hill. Back in the 80s. and that was when you had like 60 kids, you know, come to the youth club, so it was huge.
Is that where is that where me and Jake done the?
It was at
It
the
was where
community
done the mental
centre.
talk,
That's
is that
where,
one there?
yeah, and of course all estates had those community centres. So that was the place that we went on Christmas Eve and on New Year's Eve as kids, because everybody went, didn't they, to the local clubs.
The same with Park
And
Barn
they
Club.
were heaving and they were packed, and discos and whatever. So yeah, I had a great time. I think one of the things I've noticed is, I mean, it was talking about Jake the other day actually. So his dad and his uncles, a couple of his uncles are older than me, but actually there was no age distinction on estates.
No.
So you had 12-year-olds who knew the 18-year-olds, and everyone looked out for each other, but did all the same things that Stu said. So in those days it was the roller disco. The Lido was the big place. I used to I think
so lots of socialising. It sounds like there was a lot more like
the sports centre was a big hub as well.
What sports centre?
Where the cinema used to be.
Odeon.
So that was the sports centre. They did the nicest chips, didn't
so
they?
it was famous. Like people of our generation will know about the chips and vinegar. Like, it'd be. And there was like we all had like Marcus used to find. He found a way that we could do the old Star Wars, and we had tokens. You know what I mean?
Oh, and they're like the arcade games.
The arcade games. We had all that sorted, so it was like a place where we could play free arcades and just chips and vinegar.
And it's where the roller disco was as well. So these places were real community hubs. You know, they weren't just one. It wasn't, you know, and everyone went swimming on a Saturday morning. You know, it was great.
That's incredible to hear. I never knew that. Never knew like this. Like, I know because like my family, like my mum's Greek Cypriot, my dad's Egyptian. We were they were in London, and their stories are a lot different to I've never known. So I've never known this. So this is that really interesting to hear. Like so. Obviously, like we're now like fast forwarding. I thought it's changed a lot, hasn't it? Really, like I think like technology has changed a lot in good and the bad. And do you think that there's enough opportunities for kids to have a similar lifestyle to what you guys have lived like with like you mentioned like the youth clubs like and some of the things? Do you think there's accessibility?
No, definitely not. I don't think there's nearly as much available now as there was then. And I think the reason for that is because everything become professionalised. So whereas you had youth clubs that were run by people who just lived on the estates and, you know, that was okay, they then were taken over by Surrey County Council. They then had targets and outcomes, and they expected a certain standard of behaviour. Now, when we were going to the youth club here, actually it was accepted that, you know, if you want to smoke, you go around the back and smoke. There wasn't really fights or anything. To be honest. So but now there's this, and I remember, you know, one of the youth clubs I was involved with some years ago, you know, wouldn't do burgers because it wasn't healthy, and it's that kind of stuff. So that's why kids stopped going to youth clubs, because they become over professionalised. And
do you think it's a cool thing? Like, because when I like my perception, and I remember like there's still youth clubs when I was like going to school. I went to King's College in and I remember thinking, like, I don't want to do that. That's not like the...
Because it
do you think
changed.
It changed probably in your generation.
Yeah, but it probably did, So, I mean, Stu and I have said before, we could run a cool youth club.
Yeah, well, we've spoken about it now. Now we've got to look at youth clubs in a different way to,
definitely.
You know, football. Like that. Those you've just got.
British Bulldog. What
and then they banned it all. But we had people all the time breaking their arms and breaking their legs.
Feeling a bit old, didn't you?
That wasn't the point of the podcast.
But we would like to go to a youth club still, wouldn't we?
Kiss chasing that. You know what I mean? Proper chasing the girls and stuff.
I think it's like, but this, like, that's like cool to hear. Like for me, like, and I think that is something that I'd love to do at a youth club. I said it to you guys before, and because I think, as you said, I think nowadays, and there's no disrespect to youth clubs because I love what they're doing. I think they're not what they like. It's evolved.
But they're
it's
not
evolved.
acting. That's what we've said.
I think like there's. As you said, people want to learn about like the video side of things now,
exactly.
Like,
music,
music, like fashion, like I mean, I'd like to see like. I mean, I'm a mindset guy. I'd like to be speaking more about like mindset and even like how to deal with social media, because I think nowadays like kids are sitting there. There's a video not so long ago, and a kid's posted a picture. Someone said something about her ears or something, and she's just been crying the whole time. I bet there's so many kids out there.
Bullying's different, isn't it, from when we were kids? You know, horrendous now.
And I feel like we need training. Like even like me now, I'm exposing myself to the media world. Like you are a bit, I get a bit scared about what people are going to think, what people are going to say. I feel like that sort of training would go far with these kids because it's so accessible. So what I mean, you've both obviously been part of youth clubs. Like,
Yeah.
so what inspired you with Guildford Action? Like, did you know you were going this way? I mean, you said you fell upon it.
Yeah, so before I worked at Guildford Action, I had worked at Challengers actually,
Oh, no, yeah.
and I did
Stoke
that from
Park now, aren't they? Yeah.
and I did that from a teenager. I volunteered there on a Saturday, so my Saturday was always I volunteered there in the morning from about the age of 12, right up to I was 16, and then my dad picked me up, and then we'd go and watch the Arsenal, and that's what I still do on my weekends.
You're Arsenal fan?
So yeah, so I follow Arsenal home and away, and
Don't get
have done for
started.
years.
I'm Palace. I'm Crystal
Are you?
Palace. Yeah.
I know Arsenal. I'm not really a football fan. I'll be
I'm
honest,
not massive, but Palace is my
it's
team.
not often I see Jo going. But we had a client down the other day, and he was winding her right up, and I'm sitting there going, "She's going to kill him. She's going to kill him." So Arsenal is as much in her blood as Guildford
It's
Action.
my passion.
I think it's like it's when it's like part of your upbringing, it means a lot more, doesn't it? As well, like,
it's
just
what I've
those little
always done
routines.
from about the age of about 10, 11. So always went with my dad, been all over, Europe.
So
obviously
what
up to
inspired
countries,
is you were such a young age doing this, or was it was
So
your
I
mum
think
like
it
that?
Was
Was your dad
I think
like
it was
that?
my whole family. So my whole family are very political and always have been. And one of the things that's been really important, a theme that runs through our family, is about justice, really. So my sister is the same. She's in New Zealand.
Oh, wow.
So that's important. So it's just been really a part of me, and came to Guildford Action, and I've really grown up at Guildford Action because before I came here, I didn't have kids. I've now got 2 kids who are 18 and 16. So they've grown up at Guildford Action as well. They were in here as babies.
Oh, no
It's
way.
not unusual
That's incredible,
for them to be around people, and they've grown up to be kind and and
It's
thoughtful, and they're not angels, but
No, none of
they
us- none of us
but
are,
they
we
have
haven't-
that they have a real sense of what's right and treating people in the correct way. So
My granddad used to say, "You can play on the railway track, but don't cross it."
yeah.
Nice.
So you can,
Yeah.
you can still have. I haven't had a boring life, but I haven't
No.
really been in much trouble. But I think if you can get them values right and still have fun,
Yeah.
They're
We've
nice.
had lots of fun.
we've had loads
I think
of
that's
fun.
one of the things is we could talk, couldn't we? Myself,
Yeah.
Stu and Tommy talk endlessly about stuff from 25, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And literally we could smile and laugh all day. And
yeah.
one of the things that I always think with my kids, I just want them to make memories that they can in 20, 30 years time look back and it makes them smile.
Yeah, it's so important.
That's
as
the
well.
most important thing for me.
It really is, because I think, and this is what personally I talk about social media a lot on here. I feel like social media is a bit of an illusion these days, like a filter, and I think though that's what matters. Because that's you can't put money on that, can you?
We've got memories,
and,
really
and
good
I
memories.
think making that and enjoying everything at the time, because you
Yeah.
don't know like when your time's up, and I think
No.
just enjoy the time, enjoy the moment, and like
Yeah.
try. I think making a difference is important because
Yeah.
you get good feeling. I'm sure you guys
Yeah.
are rewarded constantly
Yeah.
by the work you do, like in yourself. And
And I suppose the other thing is probably we have a sense of ownership about Guildford Action because Guildford is our town, and our families are from Guildford. So that's something that I think has changed over the years because obviously Guildford now, lots of people move into Guildford. And so some of that sense of ownership has been diluted a little bit, and that's something, and you get that we could get that back by really empowering the estates again. They're really important. They're the lifeblood of every single town, the council estates. So, and we're very passionate, aren't we?
And I have to say,
about that.
yeah, for the first time in a long time, we're seeing this happening. And again, this is what COVID's brought. I've just been on the phone with the councillor previously. If we look back on this year as a community, we've never been this together for a whole generation. This week we've been talking about the redevelopment of North Street. For me, it feels like there's been a whole lost generation of people that have not had the best of what Guildford used to be proud of, and it's coming back, and it is, and we're seeing it, and we're seeing the way the council are working and thinking about it differently, and the way people on the estates are reacting. And again, we spoke about the youngsters. It's a lot to do with the community stuff that's being done within schools and the stuff that's being done with really good counsellors on the estates. And Jo's very passionate about Slyfield and the work that needs to be done there, but things are happening. So I feel, and we've both said this, we feel like a bit like when we were kids, a little bit, And that's highlighted this year of us coming together as a community and working together, businesses, charities. You know, we only need to put out a call of action now to the community, and it happens.
Yeah, it's
it
a group.
happens.
I think we can go. There's a saying. I think I said it before in the podcast where you can go fast alone, but you can go far together.
Yeah.
And I think like that
100%.
like group that like being as a group, we can actually start making a difference. So I'd love to ask for the people that are listening, and also for myself, how important do you think it is to have a strong community behind people from disadvantaged backgrounds, people that are trying to self-develop themselves, people like myself, like, because I mean, sure, you're helping me, like, just getting in places and that. So I'd love to ask you both what your opinion is on how important you think having a good community behind you is.
I think it's everything.
Yeah,
I honestly do. I think it's everything. So years ago, there wouldn't have been a need for a Guildford Action. So remember, when we set up, we were about unemployment, and it was about helping people find jobs. Because actually, the people that we see in here now, they were all part of communities. They didn't need to come to Guildford Action because the bloke down the road would kind of, help them in the shop if they didn't have any money, and someone else would bung them a few quid for a few beers, and someone else, who perhaps wasn't mentally very well would just be looked after. It just happened in communities, and then it got lost, and now there is a need for services like ours, and that's why, and everything's become professionalised, and so we really are keen to take things back to the communities. Because that is the best way, and it's about relationships. So like Stu said, we see people in here who I've been to school with, Stuart's been to school with, and you have, don't you, that relationship from all those years ago. It's important. People aren't getting that now because they don't know their neighbours perhaps. So
we know
really
it's when the youngsters come in, and the first thing we ask is, what's your surname?
Who's your
Simple.
dad?
I had one kid here when I first started working here. We were doing some filming in town, and I was out the front, and I was talking to one client, and this young kid, I've heard him say, "Don't talk to him, he's old Bill."
What about you?
About me, right? And I was straight away, I pulled him up about it. I'm like, "What do you mean I'm old?" I said, "I'm not old Bill." He went, "Yes, you are." Don't no one talk to him. I said, "I'm not old Bill." I said, "Tell me your name." And straight away, he told me who he was. It clicked. It father like son, that like. And I've got quite a collection of trainers which I can quite outstrip most teenagers with. So I said, "Do you think they wear it?" And there's that rapport of straight away, this young kid now, I love him to bits, and I can see now his background, and you can see where these people have come from and where they need changing, and so the communities.
It makes a difference for them as well. Like, I think it's important for like people like myself and like people who, no matter what their journey of life is, to have people that make such a difference in the community, like you guys, that mean something to, and also like people that have grown up in it, and like just have it, like knowing their dad and stuff like that. So like that, as you said, it builds up that rapport, and like, instantly gives
you
some
know
trust.
where they come from and what they're about, and what we've grown up with it. So
I think the other thing is we're quite honest here as well about any struggles we've had ourselves. So, and I think every member of Guildford Action staff would talk about their own kind of personal stuff. So, and I've always been very honest and spoken to people. I had, when I was pregnant with both my kids, really bad antenatal depression, and to the point that they wanted to hospitalise me, wanted me to go into a psychiatric hospital. So that, though, has been, and I would talk about that, but I know that feeling of utter despair, and
it makes a difference.
And it makes a difference. And I think, and when you have those things, you've got to use them correctly. And it just, every time I sometimes see people, and they can be so depressed, and they'll say things that will trigger something in me, and I just think, I know that feeling, and so, and we're honest about our own stuff,
totally.
aren't we? So
it pays off as well. So it pays, and I think like some of the pain and the traumas that we go through, when like that's the whole point of this podcast really, to like allow people to express themselves, because we don't often know what the other person goes through or what they've been through, and like I know some of the messages I've got before about some of the podcasts I've done, people go, it's really nice to hear someone else is out there has gone through that, because I thought it was only me. And like again, it's bringing that group together, isn't it? It's bringing people together.
It's what you make of those situations in your life, and how you look at them and adapt them and use them, and it's that learning from what happens in your own life to try and adapt to. I wasn't only a fat kid at Park Barn, but I had no bowel control. You went to Park Barn. Imagine sitting in English and shitting yourself at 13.
That's a
bad shit, mate.
Yeah, literally.
Every day,
Yeah,
you've got it, mate.
Yeah.
But I look at them days now and I think, fuck me, if I can get through that, I can get through anything. So, like Joe says, we've all had our, we've all got our stories, which makes,
so did you go King's College?
Park Barn boy, yeah.
Park Barn School, that was called Park Barn School.
It was Park Barn School
Park
there.
Barn
School.
We still call it Park Barn School.
I do, yeah. And it's for me, that school was a effing nightmare.
Yeah.
And I ran out of that school. But now I look at it and, I'll make sure there's positivity out of that, whatever these people go through on a day-to-day basis, we can get through it and move forward and make, it's.
I'm trying to get in there at the moment. I'm trying.
Do you know what? I was going to try. I spoke to their master last year, and actually, I'm nearly 50, but my anxiety. I think I remember you saying I was scared, not scared to go back in there, but it was like
muscle memory, isn't it? It just brings it back.
But it's important to me because I know. The way bullying works, it's different now, but
it stays with you as well.
Of course it does.
Like I know people say, "Sticks and stones," that saying, but I don't think that's because
it shapes you.
It does, and it means, especially when it's someone like your dad speaking to you like that, or like I mean, I remember a few things getting said to me at school that stuck with me. And like as you said, it does build up sort of like some a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of whatever that feeling may be, and I think.
But Park Barn was a nutty school back in them days.
Even when I was there, I think when I left, it was like. And there's no disrespect to the school. I love the school and I want to go back. I think it's like bottom 200 in the country by the time I left because it was a real.
Oh mate, in the 80s,
man,
there was a police chase once around Park Barn. It was like 2:30 in the afternoon, and it was literally going around Cabell Road and that, and the whole school was like at the window.
Just
it was like mad sort of criminality going on in the estates where it was just like, and there's some there was some really famous policemen that were on the estate. It was like, when you look back on it, it was like
character building,
mental.
So like you like with you, obviously Joe was saying how important it is. How important do you think it is? Like in just a few words, how important a community is.
I think it's the grounding of what we can do to make this town great again. That we've got to look at these estates, trying to improve them, and just start working in the community more and working with young people. And I spoke to you the other day. For me, working with these people is about finding what makes them good. Everyone's got something good about them, and if I can find that, that's what I love doing.
You said the hook.
The hook. I just want one thing.
Yeah, and that's all someone
comes
needs.
With a smile, or I can pick it up. And that's what makes me a good salesman, is because that's what I look for. I look for that smile. Once I've got that, then I can do all sorts of
Everyone's
things.
Got greatness within. Everyone's got greatness within. And it's just about uncovering it. And once I said it to you on the phone, once you find your passion, it makes room for you. And it opens up.
And the thing with Sean, we've spoken a lot about Sean. It's happened to numerous people that maybe haven't been highlighted as much as Sean this year. But, Sean wanted the opportunity.
And
we gave him a spade, a rusty spade, a rusty wheelbarrow, and a rake.
Passion.
I told him, let's do a video on this, and it's just finding what and that's the battle in life, isn't it? If you can find what you're good at an early age,
I love Sean. If he watches, I'm proud of you, brother.
We all are.
Everyone is. He's amazing, and there's so many people out there with that just haven't uncovered that sort of passion and sees the opportunities, and that's why
I saw last year. Won't go into the long and short of it. There was a couple that were on the streets, and we'd done some work with both of them. And I was down the river, and she'd had a drink and that, but she couldn't take her glasses off. And I said to her, look at me, trust me. And this year, probably one of my highlights is she made friends with me on Facebook on my birthday. But that's normal. And now we're looking at her, and I'm drooling over her roast dinners and her. But a year ago, bless the girl, she couldn't take her glasses off to me. And it's like, but you just give them that
little bit of hope. It's almost like hope. It's
special.
I really want to get into what Guildford Action does, but before we'd cut to a little ad. I wanted to show people around, show what you guys do.
Cool, man.
Then we'll come back. just talking about the community as well. Like, that's a perspective that I don't think I've ever felt. I've never related to it, if you like, and just looking, I know how people have helped me in the past, how that's made me want to help others, and I think by just helping people in our community, that could help out the family, that could help out the person above that, and it just domino. I think it's a massive domino effect as well.
It's a little bit looking at your age and your generation of people is almost what we've spoken about. That there's this lost group of people that have missed out on what made communities great, and there has been this disbandment of youth clubs and stuff like that, and why we're so passionate about bringing them back and seeing them more on the estates and bringing the community together as youngsters. You know, we built bridges, we talk about bridges and subways, but that's how the estates work. We were all together, we could all connect, and there was the odd fight and
of course,
battles and stuff, but it was different, and you guys, I don't see how the youngsters, on the estates, what they do, but that's just because it's disbanded, and
I think it's different, like, to how, like, I don't know, I can't say it's different
because you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it, but I mean, for me, like you're saying is, it is actually, it's a good. I didn't know. We know none of this is planned. Like this, we haven't planned, and it's interesting to see. Like, not what I didn't have. That's a rubbish way of looking at it. Like, interesting to see the difference, because it makes sense. Like how there is like a difference between. Like even like my mum always used to say before I was with my girlfriend, she was like, "Oh, what about your girlfriend?" I was like, "She's not my girlfriend yet." She's like, "Been with her like 3 months now." Like, but even like the little things like that are just like completely different, aren't they? To it. So it's interesting to see how like the community has such a big part of like your upbringings and how Tourette's got you, like now you're giving back to the community that gave something to you.
And it stays with you, doesn't it? Because it's still important.
It's rounded,
still like and talking about when we spoke about Sean earlier, from day one he was always really, really important to me, because he was a Bushy Hill boy. And and it was just literally literally going sort of the extra mile, because it was really, really important to me. He was one of, he was from my estate, so he was from the manor. So
The ends. That's the nowadays the language. It's honestly like it's inspiring, like meeting you guys, just having the time for me to do something like this, because I don't know why I want to give back. I think the reason why I want to give back so much is because what people have done for me, like in the past.
We need youngsters, like young people.
We talk about it, don't we? Stu and I talk about it all the time. It's really, we love it when people kind of come in. We genuinely enjoy people doing well and seeing them grow. And so to know that there's kind of, young Guildford people who are doing this and wanting to do it, that makes us really happy, really excites us.
It's important.
And it kind of goes back to, it's our town, and we kind of want to hand our town over to the next generation in good hands as well. And so we love seeing people do this stuff and grow. I know.
I'm like,
so you can give it over here if you want. I can take care of it.
I'm like nearly 50, and like I feel like I'm 20, and I've got it, but like it upsets me that like shit, I've got 15 good years left, do you know what I mean? And I know how time flies.
I think by then I'll be 40, you'll be able to hand over and good night. You can train me up nicely.
Totally, but I hate it.
It's because you've got an attachment to it though, because that passion you're talking about.
Just to my age, I just don't want to grow up. I don't want to grow up. I don't feel like I'm like a little Peter Pan really, and like it, I haven't got kids. I've got lots of godkids that I can have when I want and give back when I want, but I haven't had to sort of add the responsibilities of parenting and stuff like that, so I'm a little bit.
I feel like you're a dad to the community.
No.
You're a dad to the community.
I've got like 12 godchildren, which I love to bits, and they're my everything. But I've had this, and like you say, like Jo said, it's so important to get this shit done before. Because we need to pass this on and just carry on with it.
I think, like from what I've learned in my life, is just. You never know when your time's up, and I think it's so important to do the things that I know it sounds silly, but even like this podcast for me, I was so scared of doing it at first, and like even like this setup, it's all like it looks good, but I wasn't good behind the camera. Like me and Martin like messed up the videos the first time round, like and it's just the growth, and ultimately I just want to show people that you can do anything you want. Like if you don't have to do it.
Time's short, mate. Time goes. The last conversation I had with my dad before he passed away that's his last message to me was, time is short, man.
Yeah.
Don't piss about any longer. Get on with it. And I listen to my dad now more that he's gone than I ever did when he was alive. But that was his last message to me, that you've just got to try and be happy, and time is short, so get on with it and do something that you makes you happy.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
And did you act on that instantly, or do you feel that just stuck with you?
It resonated with me more than it ever done in my life when I lost my dad. That it was important to we've only got one snack, you know. And it has changed me, and it all happened a little bit sort of same time with losing my dad, to starting up Big Mouth, to quite quickly getting involved with these guys again. So it's taken, but I'm a bit gutted. I'm nearly 50 and I've only just worked it out.
So what message would you give, Stuart? Like, if you could give any message to someone watching that's got a
crack on, man. Crack on with what if you got it in your head and you can do it. Anyone can do anything.
Yeah,
anything. And that's if people, Joe will tell you, one thing I'm famous for is mad ideas, but I'm very good at giving that, because if I'm passionate about something, then I will do my very best to make it happen.
I need more of like that. When you've done that, do you mean like not caring what people?
No, but just having that positivity and that.
Yeah, it's important.
If you can do anything.
Yeah,
whatever
anyone
can do,
anything.
You can do it, and if you put your mind to it and you're passionate about it, you can do it, and that's where that
surrounding
comes.
Yourself with people.
It's finding that little thing, and I am, I wish I'd learned that 10 years ago. What I knew.
But it's
now.
never too late.
I've learned so much in them. Now it's time to be, with Big Mouth and what I'm doing and so this is my time to be my best.
Yeah, and I think as long as people get to that in their lives, that's the most important thing. Like, I think as long as you get to your best, like I always say, my aim every day is to be the best man, the best person I can be every single day.
That's it.
And I think like that's, I don't know, like I've learned that I'm not going to say the hard way, because there's plenty of people out there that got harder, but I went through my own battles. I've had problems with addictions, with drinking, and other things as well. Just like as well as all the stresses that we all have. And I just feel like, I don't want to do this. Like, I want to do what I want to do, and I just try to attack. And what would you say to those people out there? Because I think everyone's got a different mindset and perspectives.
Yes, I mean, one of the things that I always say to my kids is and I've never pushed them around their education or anything. I just say to them, do the things that's going to make you happy. Make sure it either makes you happy or makes you proud.
Yes.
And then the rest of it, their life will be all right.
Yeah.
It will just fall into place. So I would always say that. I think to the people who come in here, happiness isn't usual for them. So actually, it's really, sometimes we can say to people, go and do stuff that makes you happy. Actually, they don't always know what makes them happy, and the feelings of happiness can be really, really unsettling. So and to those people, I always say, be around people who are good for your health.
Yeah,
I love it. Environment is so important.
Yeah,
we had a conversation on environment, and
yeah.
I think it. Like I said a similar person to one of my coachees recently. They said, I can't be hungry. I said, all right, go around people that are then.
Yeah.
Because then eventually, you'd adopt that actual product to your environment.
Yeah,
and
that's right. Yeah.
I'd love you spoke about identity before, and I'd love to talk about that on the podcast, about how people see themselves. And I think you and I spoke about it as well, Stuart.
Yeah.
So what's your opinion? Like, how do you think identity affects a person?
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really important. So even when we were talking earlier about the roller disco and the Lido, and actually there was always that kind of that clothing, wasn't it, and how people dressed was really, really important. And then of course
what are you laughing at?
So like you kids, there used to be a market down at Slyfield, and there was a bloke that sold all the dodgy
the market.
Yes.
I was there. I was young kid.
It would be like a fashion show. We were all breakdancing and in our Lacoste, and there's a few rich sport kids on the estate that used to have the chamois feelers and stuff. So it was always that cool
So it's always
quiffs.
been there, hasn't it? Identity.
Yeah, it has. It's like it does.
Totally.
That's whatever it was,
Yeah.
and you could almost. It's like I can go most places in the country, and I could tell you if we're in a pub. You know, I can be in a pub somewhere. I could tell you if, or no, so London would be the best example. I can be in a pub in London and tell you whether they're West Ham, Chelsea, Palace.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Palace.
and so, but you could also tell, couldn't you? Because you could tell they're Park Barn,
Yeah.
they're Bushy Hill, they're
Yeah.
Belfields. So. And then what happens to
The swag,
our...
the Stoughton swag.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
But then us lot then moved on to going out.
Yeah.
So we were part of the
When we
first
were,
like
the first
rave.
rave scene.
You know,
the
we
illegal
were there.
raves.
We were out. So we've all grown up, and that was another community
Yeah.
builder. Because at the time, it was at the end of the 80s when you wouldn't want to go in Guildford on a Saturday night. There was so much fighting, and it was not a nice. It felt a little bit like now. Everyone was angry, and there was separation between communities and stuff. And then that come along and
the
brought
rave
together
scene.
people that now I know, you know, their lord and lady, you know. That was important time for our year, that we all come together again after probably a little separation of our late teens, and then we were all out for that.
It was young people, wasn't it, creating that identity. So there was an identity, and actually thinking about it since then, I can't really see it. So,
No.
so before that, our identity was on the Saturday night.
Yeah.
But of course, young people now don't go out on Saturday nights like they used to, or
No.
go clubbing, or go
I'm
to...
the boy. I'm not an
the
80-year-old actually.
Right,
I'm
yeah.
I'm one of those old hearts sort of in a young body. Not,
So, you know, it's really so, yeah, and so I wonder now where people get their identity. But in here, in Guildford Action, identity is really important, because what happens is people, you know, fall on hard times, and these could be people who are, you know, it's really important to them what they wear, how they present
really
themselves,
important.
or they always want to have their hair, you know, short and kind of well trimmed. And suddenly they can't, and you imagine being in that situation.
it's
so
hard to. It's even hard to imagine that from.
It's
like, when you're not in that,
unbearable.
it's hard to.
Yeah, and it was something when we did the sleep out that night. It was something that we
Tell us
spoke a
about
lot
that. Tell us, explain to people.
So we slept out. Myself, Stuart, Tommy, the other Jo, and Sam.
Yeah.
And so three of us, the three women, we got dropped off at Send Prison, which is a female prison, and we had to get back. We just had £5 between us, and that was the idea, was to highlight people coming out of prison to no fixed abode. So we bunked the train back to Clarendon, and even that I enjoyed, because I haven't bunked a train for ages.
We escaped from Colderley. Me and Tom were on a bus. We were on a bus in about
bus journey.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
It was the funniest. We got on at Brookwood, and we ended up going into like Knapp Hill, and all these kids got on the bus, like these little yardies on the back of the bus, giving it loads and that. I said to one kid, where are you going? Does this go straight to Guildford? He said, no, it goes to Woking, mate. He's gone, where are you gone? We said, well, we just escaped from prison. And their faces, like these school kids, but we had a really, like, it was the start of a real positive night, because we had time to talk to these kids and tell them what we were doing and understanding. And that night, again, for 5 different people, was completely different night. And how we dressed, how we looked, how we reacted, how we sort of...
What did you
night,
what
we
was
stayed
your
in town.
What was your reaction? Like, how
For
did
me,
you feel?
I get into this sort of, I don't know why I do it, but I get into this sort of role play film. I want to feel like I'm homeless, so I dress like it, and I felt quite easy sitting on the floor and just being engulfed in it a bit. And for me, it was like, it dragged me down really quick within about an hour.
Mentally?
Yeah, because I literally 5 or 6 people walked past me that they knew me, well knew me, completely ignored me, and then
and then it was you.
But but they didn't see me.
Because they just didn't.
They didn't see me.
They
didn't see me. And then Tommy was sort of, he come, but he was sort of, we was not laughing, but he was sort of dressed like he was wanting to be smart. And but then we see that with the kids on the street. They want this sense of feeling good, looking good. And one night that I'd done it on my own, I slept out on my own. I'll never forget meeting a young girl in the car park. Someone had smashed up her area, and she asked me if I'd mind coming back, and I went and got this young girl some food. I went back. You know what car parks smell like? They smell horrible. You know, they can smell. I could smell the Dettol as I was going. It was like a Bisto ad. and that just respect for where they live, and you know, they try and have this, they try and keep hold of there, or they want to look smart, they want to feel good, or they want to be clean, and that's something that, you know, we see a lot of, don't we, with these youngsters. A tramp's not a tramp anymore. You know, when we were kids, a tramp was someone that, you know, there was some famous tramps in Guildford for years. You don't necessarily see that so much anymore. You see it more with the youngsters, and but there is this sense of trying to hold on to
identity.
Really.
And without an identity, you just can't move. You're static. You're just stagnant, and you're stuck. And so, it really is important. So one of the things that we try to do here is we just learn as much as we can about people. So when we do assessments, you know, we kind of go through all the usual stuff we need to go through as quick as possible. What we're really interested in is you know, who was the you know, what person do you remember from your childhood who was important, and then we discover so much about people. So when Stu was saying earlier about the couple that we worked with, you know, we discovered that this guy, and he was on the streets at the time, was a crack user.
He's the boxing guy that I've done the boxing video with.
He did the boxing, but he also had won
2 gold medals at Chelsea.
2 gold medals at Chelsea Garden, flower show.
Successful person.
So that kind of stuff. So so it's really, really important, and we need to work in a way that keeps reinforcing somebody's identity, because homelessness is not their identity.
No,
that's a circumstance. And so it's really, really important. So in here as well, that's why we don't have rule posters, because the only rule in here really is it has to be a safe environment physically, emotionally, for everybody. The moment you have rule posters everywhere, you're actually telling everyone to
you're in my house sort of thing.
That's right. And also people lose their sense of identity, so we are very happy for people to come in. If they need to shout because they're angry, then shout because they're angry. If they need to cry, then cry. If they're hungry, they don't have to wait till lunchtime. They can go in the kitchen and make themselves something to eat. And I don't think it's any coincidence that we have very, very few aggressive incidents in here. If we do, they're never directed at us. And we can say to people, you know, go out, go and have a walk for a couple of hours, come back, or do you want us to come with you? And so it kind of is self-policing in here. We don't have any. The other thing that I was really keen when we moved here was not to have any no-go areas. So our office door is open the whole time. You cannot do a piece of work in this place. Honestly, they find you. I hide around here sometimes. All the doors are open. There are no-go zones. So people want to come and sit in the office when we're in there. They sit in the office. They lay on the floor. They fall asleep on the floor.
That's amazing.
That's, you know, this is we're custodians of this building, really. That's all. The building belongs to the community, and so you know, that's, and they're not
really
referrals,
important. Which is really different about us guys. Most agencies in Guildford would be referrals. No one gets referred here. They come in, and it is like a family, and it is you know, they come here, and that's why we're so successful. I believe, because they're not referred here. They don't need to bullshit us. They can be honest, and we can work with their honesty and make a difference. Are we allowed to
disclose how many people you have? Are we allowed to?
So over the year we work within the through the course of the day centre that comes through the doors. Probably, I think it's around about 1,300 different people. And then obviously we've got our family project as well. That's really important. So we work with families across the borough and beyond. And
what sort of situations are these families in?
So most of those families have been referred by the school, social workers, health visitors. So they're often families who they could be struggling financially. Usually they're struggling financially, but there could be all kinds of safeguarding concerns around the children and just literally struggling with everyday life. So we have obviously some very sad cases that we pick up. But ultimately what we want to do is give those kids a chance. We want to give them opportunities. So we've got some great projects actually. We've got a project called Hyper, which is helping youth, helping young people participate in activities. Because I really wanted a pot of money where the kids that we see, they don't go to clubs or scouts or play football or have swimming lessons. None of them do any of this stuff. Because it's expensive. It's expensive.
It is.
And so we've got a pot of money, And again, this money is unconditional. It's just, you know, if somebody wants to go and play football, we'll pay their subs for Guildford City or whoever. If they want singing lessons, we will get them singing lessons.
Identity again, isn't it? It's the same thing.
And it's community.
Creating identity
So,
within your community.
We sent some kids out paddleboarding with a friend Rich of ours. The kid, you know, things that they just
they
would
wouldn't
never
have
done,
the opportunity.
ever.
So I feel really, really strongly that actually, you know, in Guildford, we've potentially got the next, you know, footballers for England, the next cricketers, you know, artists and musicians. They're here on our estates, and
they're on every estate in the world, aren't they?
They're
on every
that's where
everywhere.
the real talent
And
is, and it's hidden. And it just bothers me when my kids were, you know, smaller. They went horse riding, they did football, they did swimming, they did dance, they did every club going. You know, we go and see families, these kids have never been to a club, and I find that unacceptable that they're not given those opportunities.
And it's not their fault, it's not even their family's fault, it's the circumstance that they're in. And I think and again, I suppose it comes back to what you were saying earlier, Stuart, about how important the community is that we need. Because there's a superstar, and there's a superstar in every neighbourhood, in every doorstep. It's just hooking.
It is, and they build friendships for life, and so we know relationships is just so important. And we need to give people those opportunities to build good relationships. So we get people in here who will say, I had a really good friend when I was 8 and I remember him, you know. And so that was significant, but actually we need kids to be out building those relationships. So we're really, really excited, you know, to have that. And again, if it costs, you know, 800 quid for one kid and, you know, 40 quid for another, doesn't matter. You know, we haven't kind of put a price range on each person. And we're also looking at setting up a scheme in January with Surrey County Council, which is part of the world's biggest child mentoring scheme called Big Brother Big Sister.
Oh, I'd love to be part of that.
So
we'll catch up about that.
That is special,
Oh,
isn't
I
it? This
can't wait.
project is so special.
Yeah.
So we really would love you to be involved.
We'll definitely speak. Please, Jo, I want you to just carry on talking about Guildford Action. So I feel, even myself, I've been, when I come into the personal development world, after Sean telling me about Guildford Action, that's something I wanted to look into, but I want to just really spread your message and what you guys do, so please just...
I mean, one of the things is, so everybody just assumes that people come in, they get something to eat, and you know, and actually it's far more than that. So that's just the stuff that we do all day, every day, anyway, and don't think anything about it. I think one of the things that is always really difficult to translate to people is the model in which we work, and Stuart touched on it earlier about family. So we have a best practice guide which is around sort of 10 steps of forming a relationship really with somebody. So that starts as when somebody walks in the door, and people when they walk in the door should see somebody, greet them and smile, because it makes the difference. You've got to, you know, you've got those kind of, you know, few seconds to connect.
It's like 7 seconds or something, isn't it? It takes to like judge, like to...
definitely. And so, you know, we have this model, and it's about learning the person's story. So it's not about problem solving and getting them out of the door. I don't think that it's a good service when people think, you know, of some services are 12 weeks and that's it, then, you know, they've got to move on. I don't think that's good, because I think we should be encouraging relationships and partnerships that go on a lifetime.
Because it doesn't create identity either, does it? Like, I want to keep coming back to identity, because like, that's quite your strong values. Because identity doesn't last for 12 weeks, does it? It either lasts a lifetime or until you want to change it. So
that's right. So we have this model, and I think one of the things that makes it special here is, you know, if people ask me, like I said, about the rules, I don't really know the rules. I don't really. I don't know.
No, but that's good though.
I don't know what the rules are. Just the rules are. It's just got to be a safe environment.
At a point, it's... And I think
you know,
you've got to push a lot of buttons to be kicked out.
Yeah, you do really. And we're fine with that. Anyway, we'll say to people, right, you know, piss off for the rest of the day, come back tomorrow. Sometimes they're back within half an hour, shouting over the fence, sorry Joe.
That shows respect. So what other things, Stuart, would you guys get involved in and do? I just want to really, for people that don't know what Guildford Action do, or if they think, because when I spoke to someone about what we were doing today, their response was, don't they just deal with the people in the streets? And
again, like I said to you at the start, it's very difficult to sort of push the family side because it's a little bit more sensitive. So we always try and get the message out about, because that's our future. That, you know, that's probably one of the most important parts
and
of
it
the
shapes
charity.
people's lives as well.
And that's what we need to do. It's almost trying to stop, you know, generations of this happening to families and stuff like that. So
and we do, and we do have that impact. It was a couple of months ago. I had a message out of the blue, didn't I? From a lad, and I worked with him when he was 14. He was on the verge of being kicked out of school at the time. Things are really difficult at home, and he sent me a message the other day saying, just wanted to say thank you so much. You had such a massive impact on my life, and I didn't for one moment think he would remember me. And he's now kind of in his 20s, late 20s. And that was amazing. And I just thought, and he was really important to me, this lad.
Well, it sounds like they're all important.
What's great is when you see
progression.
Like, they get to that point, but then you see how they start reacting and giving back, and their morals and how they change and way we embed. They see what we do, and that embeds in people and in their DNA moving forward. And it's they're the special moments. You know, I stopped and thought about. You know, I released that video this last week, and I was walking up the road and I was just listing in people's names, thinking all these people that have, you know,
you changed their lives.
Not changed their lives, but we've enhanced them.
That's a better. Because they've changed it. They've done the work. They've listened to what you said,
and we put down foundations for them to work on and move forward. And the list was endless, and I get quite emotional. Jo, you know, I am very emotional.
I feel emotional. I'll be honest, I can feel it.
You know, and it's a flipping special place. Like
it really is.
I couldn't work in that. There ain't, you know, there should be cameras on the wall watching us, because there ain't no place like Guildford Action when it comes to a work environment. The people that, you know, you're not going into an office working with somebody that, you know. Special people, you know, special people that just make
that care as well. I feel like that's the key point that I want to get across from. I'm not saying that on behalf of you guys. I say that because I've met you guys today, and even when I walked in, like, Jo, you were busy dealing with everyone here, and there was a lot of people downstairs. And for me to see that, that's not heartbreaking, but it's sad. But then for you guys, I'm looking at you guys, and you're like, got a smile on your face because you know that you're part of the solution.
You couldn't write this lady's job if someone said CEO of Guildford Action.
It's not quite.
That
it's not quite as.
Do you know what I mean?
It's not enough letters. It's not enough letters. CEO, ABCD.
Bottle washer, toilet cleaner.
The reality is.
But that's for all of us. That's for all of us. We all, you know. That night we spent out, you know, our volunteers, they were the ones that come out.
Our clients,
they
come out.
They
the
come
only
out.
people, they just rocked up.
Yeah,
we
tea,
didn't know.
coffee. One of them at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
Rocked up with tea.
With a flask of
so
tea.
they were there for you when
really
It's embedded. It's
and
very
somebody
nice.
else bought us some McDonald's and then blankets. If they didn't bring us blankets, we'd have been starved. Because literally, but they did, and we didn't ask them.
That says it all. That says it all about the relationship you create. And I'm just going to cut to another little bit, but just before, like, in short summary, what was your biggest take home from that experience of staying out on the streets for a night for each of you?
Oh, for mine, I thought I hated the whole evening. I'm going to be completely honest. I hated it. What I took was that you're just invisible, and it's a horrible feeling. And the identity is so important. When we were walking around at 1 o'clock in the morning, some people were a bit earlier. Some people had kind of been out for meals and all looked nice. I looked absolutely awful. I was in clothes that I was really not comfortable in, and so that has it just reinforced again to me that
no one deserves to be invisible. We're humans.
It was awful. It was absolutely awful.
And mine's my identity, really.
So similar themes like that.
I like to stand.
You like to be a big man.
I'm out. And that's what for me. You know, just losing that instantly, bang, and nobody on the floor, aching.
That's crazy.
Feeling pretty shit and being ignored by. So when you lose that, that's it, you know.
And that's what these people go through day in,
day out.
Yeah. We'll cut to another little ad then.
Wicked.
Hello, Vicky.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us
You're
on the
welcome.
podcast. So tell us about your role at Guildford Action.
So my role at Guildford Action is as a support worker, which entails basically supporting people in and around Guildford, in the Guildford community that come under Guildford Borough, and we range from emotional support to debt support, offering all kinds of different support to all kinds of families, whatever their need is at the time. And our aim is to try and give these families the tools that they need going forward to be able to manage their lives without us involved.
So being one of the superheroes at Guildford Action, what makes you so passionate about Guildford Action?
So I think the reason I love my job and love it at Guildford Action is because I just like to make someone's day a little bit better, and if I can help in any way by doing that, then I've done my job.
Vicky, thanks for joining us. You're an absolute
welcome.
hero at Guildford. God bless you and have a nice day.
You're welcome.
And do you know what I like just thinking when you said about feeling invisible, Joe? I feel like that hit me a bit hard almost, because I feel sometimes I can make people on the streets feel that way without. No, I'd like to feel like I'm a nice person. Like I care about these people, but I feel sometimes I don't always know how to act and what to do. And like for anyone else watching that feels like me, that doesn't always know what to do, what would you advise them? Like, how would you advise them?
I mean, it's really difficult, isn't it? Because we all avoid situations that make us feel uneasy. So that's why people walk past and don't look at that person, or they're in a rush or something. And I don't think there's any magic formula to this. I would always say just smile and say hello. And we just encourage kindness at Guildford Action. So not saying you need to give people money or go and buy sandwiches. In fact, please don't go and buy endless amounts of sandwiches, because literally they just get thrown away. People can come in here and eat. But yeah, it's about just being kind, not crossing the road. Because we had people do that the night we were out. We saw them cross the road, so they didn't have to come near us. Yeah, and that's pretty devastating.
I think, like if we asked our clients, well, again, it's this being ignored and just being spoken to. Ask if you're all right. You know,
it makes a difference, because that's what you do if you walk past someone. You're smart. I mean, I remember once at Sainsbury's, just at the top of town, there's a real young guy, and said, "Look, man, like, can I do anything?" He's like, "Do you know what, mate? Do you mind just taking a seat with me for a second?" And do you know what? I could have cried, because that was so hard. That meant so much, and I feel like sometimes we take advantage, like not in that situation. And with the buying situation, Joe, I read your post about over buying around Christmas, and it's funny actually, because that was the day I spoke to you, Stuart, and me and my girlfriend were buying that day, and for the causes, and we really wanted to buy more, and I said, don't forget, these people are homeless all year round. They're vulnerable all year round. This is so. What would you like to mention anything?
So
on that?
So one of the things this year is we put out a statement around kindness at Christmas. And because we do get inundated with endless amounts of mince pies and lots of food and whatnot, and then we end up in January where people are hungry still, and people are still homeless then, particularly more so for the families though. So we noticed that loads of people, they want to donate, you know, all these sort of fantastic toys and gifts for kids. Actually, it doesn't enhance their lives. It doesn't make their lives better. And I'm very keen that we don't reinforce this sense of Christmas that it has to look like an advert on TV, because actually everybody's Christmas is different. And the reality is some people don't have much money and their kids are not going to get a lot. Actually, those kids will grow up all right without a lot if they come from, you know, stable and nurturing backgrounds. So, you know, so we need to get away from that, because it isn't doing those kids any favours at all. Just reinforces what they haven't got when you give them a whole load of stuff. And we don't want to do that. So
and I think for us it's been an important year to educate people, and the response from us being honest has been fantastic, and I think people do want to help, and there is this sense of Christmas and giving at Christmas and stuff like that. But we were quite brave this year to turn around and say, actually, we can't do this anymore, because it's, you know, How many
Does it
mince
go to
pies did
waste?
we have
Does
last
it go
year?
to waste?
Oh,
How
it
many-
does. So much stuff
How many
went
mince
to waste.
pies did we have
We
last
had
year?
probably 500 boxes of mince pies.
500 boxes of mince pies.
You know, and what a waste of stuff.
Yeah.
And the other thing is we also are really conscious about giving people good food as
Yeah.
well. And we know what it's like. And one of the things that the night that we slept out, we just ate crap, okay?
Yeah.
So we all felt really awful.
Yeah.
You know, when you're just feeding people
Yeah.
loads of processed stuff the whole time and there's no fruit, there's no vegetables, there's no water, that is not good.
Yeah, I'm
you know,
sorry.
that brings
Yeah.
people's
It's funny.
you know, physically and mentally it has an impact.
When
so,
Jade and I bought for the cause, we was very conscious about
Yeah,
buying
buying.
nutritious food.
We got donated
yeah.
the night we slept out. We've got some, again, people we grew up with, Emma Kendall, I don't know if you know the boys who own Unique Fruit. I can never remember.
Oh, Charlie and Finley.
Charlie, yeah. So we've grown up with his
Charlie,
mum when we
friend
were
of mine,
kids.
yeah.
She gave us some fruit that night for me and Tom.
Energy.
And the difference between the Chinese and the fruit
Yeah.
was like, you could, I ate quite a lot of food, but I could really, the
Yeah.
two difference, like I would have much rather had the grapes than the
Yeah.
chicken balls or whatever we put in
And,
this fruit.
yeah, no, well, it's nutritious and it gives
Yeah.
you energy and it
Yeah,
adds
but
value
at the
to your
time we
health.
were like,
Yeah.
right Chinese,
And-
like we get some food, we need to eat something, but it's like you say, you know,
Yeah.
Greg's do
It's-
alright, do you know what I mean? The amount of homelessness people that get fed on Greg's sausage rolls, it's, you know, it's famous that the Greg's sausage roll
Yeah, cause,
feeds
yeah.
the homeless. Well, it's, you've got to look at it a bit differently and
Yeah.
probably buy them a chicken salad sandwich or something,
Yeah.
or, but
Because that
that's-
fills them up for, like, from a science point
Yeah,
of view. That's what
course.
gives them
yeah,
nutrition.
no,
So
no.
just
Yeah.
on the point of like overbuying at Christmas, and I think a lot of people, I don't mind exposing myself, won't always know how to donate at
Yeah.
other points of the year because
Yeah.
I think people aren't always just nice at Christmas. There's
No.
people that
Yeah.
genuinely
Yeah,
help
yeah,
you
yeah,
guys
of
sit all the
course,
time. So
of
how should someone who
Yeah.
wants to?
So I would always say to people to give to kind of their local causes. So you know, and if it's
And how would they go about that,
and
Joseph?
so literally look on the website, or literally pick up the phone to us. We we like to talk to people. Pick up the phone, drop us a message on social media. 9 times out of 10, we would ask if somebody wants to get us some vouchers,
Yeah.
perhaps. So you know, yesterday we went out, took somebody out to buy them some new shoes. Their shoes had loads of holes in. They needed some walking shoes. So we took someone down to Mountain Warehouse, got a pair of decent walking shoes. We always need vouchers. And cinema vouchers are great. Spectrum, we want so we can
Activities.
give
Yeah,
them
memories.
to families.
Yeah.
And it's that we want to be building memories, particularly for the kids that we work with.
Yeah.
So yeah,
What
we,
age are some of the young kids that you guys work with? How
from
young?
babies, tiny babies, all the way up to 18. Yeah.
So what you're saying is vouchers, things that makes a
Yeah,
huge
memories.
difference.
Vouchers make a
Yeah,
difference.
yeah,
We want.
yeah.
Well, look, you know, I mean, Stuart and I have just smiled and reminisced over the the roller disco, you know,
Just
the
doing
swimming
things,
pool.
being able to go out and
we want these kids to be able to
Yeah.
be doing that in
Experience
20
that.
years' time.
And I think that's massive to hear from my point of view, because I would have taken different perspective when I was buying just a week ago.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
could have spent that money on a voucher because
Yeah.
the thought of me giving a kid a swimming lesson
Yeah,
or like something
yeah.
like that,
Yeah, cool.
that means
Yeah.
so much more.
Definitely.
But the different sides of the charity, we can do different things.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you can imagine, as a fundraiser, the dip comes
now.
No.
after, and then
Yeah.
and that's really when people are they need us the most. Really, is sort of January, February, and March when
Because it's a
things
hard time of year for them.
Of course
I'd
it
imagine
is.
this is
It
a real
pressure.
time.
Yeah,
The
so
pressure.
we see more new rough sleepers in January and February than you do any other month of
Oh,
the
wow.
year.
Yeah.
And that's because there's relationship breakups at that time. People have lost their job. People have had too much to drink
Yeah.
over Christmas. They've, got nicked or, loads and loads of different things. So, yeah, January, February is our time where we see the most new rough sleepers and we have relationship breakups. They're the time. And as Stu said, from January onwards, everyone's overspent on Christmas. Actually, Guildford Action get forgotten about for the next sort of 3 or 4
Is that
months.
sad for you guys to see as well?
It
Do you
is sad.
feel-
I mean, it is sad, but again, we're not a greedy charity,
No.
and it's something we talk about all the time. So we were talking the other day, weren't we, about
Yeah.
if somebody was to donate,
Yeah.
£2 million to us, and I was saying to Stuart, the thought makes me feel sick. I would not want it. I wouldn't want Guildford Action having that kind of money. I just wouldn't. No. I just think that it's a bit immoral. We're a hand-to-mouth charity, and we just actually that's all right. We just need to cope, and we just need to get by. It wouldn't be right, because I don't think charities should run like that. Some charities have a load of money and and don't spend it wisely. All of our money comes in each year and goes out again, and I'm all right with that, to be honest.
So I really want to make sure we're clear. So what you're saying about the message is, anyone that's thinking about spending a tenner on Christmas, 20 quid on Christmas, just wait until after, maybe hold on to it, like, just so they're still supportive.
Definitely.
Well, with the vouchers, we can then spend them through the year. We still would love people to give at Christmas.
So vouchers and still
we
give.
want to spread the love around.
Obviously, you're grateful for everything that comes in at Christmas, but it's almost like it's the bittersweet, isn't it? Because you want as much what they can give, but you want it spread out through the year. And obviously you've got the family side of Guildford Action, which I personally didn't know about until today, and I think it's amazing work. And I was speaking to Vicky, and she said am I allowed to say that? I think she said, was there 200? Was there? It could have been more. I think the number was 200 kids or something.
About 200 children at the moment.
And that's amazing. You're helping them with things like this. So people aren't just helping people that are on the street. They're helping families that haven't got the money, which I think a lot of people can relate to, especially nowadays. And feeding a family is not always easy, and just having, sometimes paying the bills is just it's all the money people have. So doing that is
things like having carpet. Things like that I'll never forget my first camp, we didn't have carpet. Can't imagine not having things like that, just normal things.
Heaters on. Like the heater on, so we're going to wrap up now, and is there anything you'd like to say on behalf of Guildford Action, on behalf of yourselves, to the people that are listening that want to donate, everything that we discussed, anything that you guys want to finish up on?
I think one of the things that I would really, really like to say is this year the public support has been amazing. With COVID, we literally have been inundated, and it really has been by people who just live in Guildford, and so we are really grateful of that, because without that we wouldn't be here today. There is no doubt about it. So it really was a very, very difficult time for us early on during the COVID. So just thank you, really, because it has just been amazing, hasn't it? And we're also really conscious that the last couple of months we've had the sleep out, we've kind of had the Christmas records that we've put out in the last week.
I'll put that in the link.
So it's that kind of stuff. We're really conscious that we've been asking a lot recently, and we said the other day, we need a few months. We don't want to ask anybody for any money. It's really.
But you give a lot as well. I would like to say that.
We really are grateful, because people who give to us, there's a lot of people who give to us who don't have a lot themselves. So that is really weird.
And for me, the awareness is the giving as much as the awareness is important for me, that we get the message out there that what the work we do, and then we will get support from the community. It's quite simple.
People want to give, like they get a good feeling from giving. So it's I think it's important, and I think the points we touched on today has been amazing. It's been an eye-opener for me. So I would just personally like to say thank you for the hard work you guys put in all the time. And thanks for your time.
Wicked, man.
Thanks very much.